Hello, Victor here at RestoreYourMercedes.com, and I don't know which part it is, but this is the part number whatever, 5 maybe, and this is about transmission problem that I have in 2003 S600, right? So if you've seen previous videos, then you know that when I pull the filter, you see lots of junk and garbage and everything, yeah, whatever, dirt, earth. You call it rust, everything was there. So now, unfortunately, I had my phone battery dead, so I couldn't make the video how I separated the conductor plate. This is the valve body. This is brain of transmission, okay? Brain of the transmission. So I did have some comments about, oh yeah, you know, like you should clean it. Yes, I totally agree I should have cleaned it at first, but once you start seeing clutch materials plus some shavings, some little shavings inside the filter, and you can see videos where I show the filter when I open it up and you see clutches and all this like sludge and all the junk, then once you start seeing it, I mean, basically once you clean this, you don't have many chances that it will actually drive still, because the clutch packs, they will still disintegrate and they're gonna keep falling and clogging the filter. But what happens is I went through about 4 filters. I drained the system about 4 times. The fluid is pretty decent. It's still washing away all this junk that's in there because it gets discolorated in about 1 day. So there is definitely lots of fluid inside, torque converter and whatnot. So I just decided that it's not gonna hurt to clean the valve body. Yes, no question about it, and I cleaned lots of things out of it. So the idea here is that to get the car to drive just for a little bit, and every time I change the filter it drives fine. It shifts, no slips, nothing. But once filter blocks off and clogs up, then it does not want to engage into drive or reverse. Nothing. It's just like neutral drop. I mean, not drop, but it's just like neutral in any gear. And first video in this series was that I showed the actual readout of Star Diagnostic, where you see that it is not it's not stopping. Like all the planetaries, everything is spinning when you put it in gear, you know, like drive or reverse. So, and I figured, okay, even if I take this valve body and clean it up, there will still be some residue, but because I did about 4 different flushes, not flushes, but fluid and filter replacements, most of the stuff was washed away, and most of the stuff was cached by filter, and now it would make sense to clean up the valve body. So that's my idea. So once I clean this valve body, whatever clutch materials that fell off, the friction discs, they were trapped in filters that I basically obviously keep changing. I went through 4 filters, I believe. This is going to be a 5th one. So the 4th filter lasted the longest. So I have pretty good feeling that once I clean all of this stuff, most likely it's still going to shift for a little bit. And another thing is that I read about these transmissions is that when transmission wears, this is electronically controlled transmission, so it adapts to the wear. So obviously I hope that just one friction went bad and there will still be enough material left on the others, and transmission will adapt to that. It will increase pressure, activation pressure to that particular clutch pack, and it should still drive, because once new filter is installed and fresh fluid put in, you know, like filled inside the transmission, it's just fine, no problems. So that's what I'm hoping for. But at this point, most of the stuff is washed out, and most of the clutch materials in the filter. Now it's time to go through valve body, because hey, it's not gonna hurt, right? I mean, transmission is the way it is, what it is. So if it's gonna drive for a little bit, at least I can get the car to the shop where I can actually work on it, and I can take transmission off and swap it out, or at least remove mine, or whatever the case is. Maybe I can remove mine, open it up and see what clutch packs are bad. Maybe I can still salvage my existing transmission. I don't know. I've rebuilt them before. I've rebuilt 722.3s. Those are worse than 722.6s. and this is 722.649. so this is supposedly the strongest one from the series, because this is the same one that's installed in S65s, AMGs, and you know that's serious power in that car. And so all right, so enough talking. Let me just show you a few things. That was like a long introduction. So transmission is in the car, valve body is out the car. I put the pan back on just not to get the junk to fly into transmission because car's on the street. Valve body is here in my parts washer. Yeah, it might not look very nice because, you know, I don't use this. I don't usually do it. You know, work on these things in my parts washer, but I figured it ain't gonna hurt. So obviously I'm gonna blow it off with compressed air and whatnot. Let me show you. 1 second. So our it should go something like that. So conductor plate and solenoids obviously removed. Conductor plate was the worst. Most of the clutch material and some metal shavings were all over the place here, but again my phone unfortunately died, so I couldn't make the video about it, but I had to move on and I cleaned it. Okay, so it cleaned off decently well. As you can still see a little bit of areas where it's difficult to clean, but that's good enough. That's fine. To me, that's gonna be okay. Now another thing that was kind of problematic is this is the float that's supposed to divert the transmission fluid when the transmission is cold or transmission is hot. When it's hot, the transmission level rises, the float goes up, and it closes the passage of the fluid to go on the outer ring of the transmission, so the fluid is not foaming. Okay, because it's, yeah, you can Google it. I mean, it's just that you have to control the flow of the actual fluid through the clutch packs. If you don't do it, then clutch packs, the level rises and they're gonna start spinning and they're gonna foam the fluid, so it's gonna feel like transmission fluid is low because it's aerated. There's too much air. So this float was completely blocked off with clutch material, so it obviously didn't work right. Right now it's obviously nice and clean, and this is the underside of it. So it just rises up and then it's hollow, you know, it's just a regular float, like, you know, it just goes up and then closes the passage, and that's it. So this is the conductor plate. There was lots of shavings everywhere, not shavings but like worn out material. It's original, as you can see. What is this, 7th month of 2002? Yes, original. And I've seen these before where you had issues with the conductor plate speed sensor problems, and you can actually see in some of them that the actual speed sensor is cracked. There are cracks here in plastic, so obviously it's no good. This one seems to be fine, never had any codes. Obviously when you remove solenoids, then you mark them which ones go where. So let me just show. I put like Roman numbers because it's easier. So these are the 5 and 6, and that's 4, and that's like 3 and whatever, 2 and 1. So that's the conductor plate. The connector was actually not leaking too much. I haven't cleaned this one yet with other cleaners yet because this is going to be done during the assembly. That's that. Next, solenoids themselves. First thing is the O-rings. See, for example, these aren't cleaned yet. O-rings. So O-rings, they seem to be okay. Obviously, it's not a good idea to reuse them. But I have a set of I have a box of O-rings. I might just replace them. But if you see, there's lots of crap on these O-rings, along with the body. The body. Let me try to put the light on. Yeah, that's a little better, right? Come on, focus on the thing. This phone's supposed to have laser focus or something. I don't see so much laser in it. Major laser. Yeah, that's probably better. Well, anyway, so there is rust all over. As you can see, I keep moving it in my hand here, and this rust just falls off it on my glove. You see that? That's pretty bad. So it's one of the solenoids, and this is another one. For example, the same situation happens here. You see all this stuff. This is terrible. So what I'm gonna have to do is, obviously, I'm gonna wash them off. I don't know what's up with this silicone here. This is just weird, because that doesn't seem to be factory, but it's just bizarre. I mean, look at this. It's like, I don't know why they put silicone here. It's just, I don't know. The other one's actually even more funnier. Somebody put silicone, but they only put it on one terminal versus two. They just put it over one. I don't know. So anyway, so these will be cleaned off. You see, you can actually see that they're being cleaned off. The other ones are already cleaned off. And to the main part, the actual crap that is, some of it, there was like about 80% more on the surface. I'm not going in yet on this video. I'm not showing the internals. The internals are gonna be next, because I'm going to separate everything. I'm gonna take all the valves off. I'm gonna clean it just thoroughly. That's just the way it's supposed to be, because one of these little pieces of metal or whatever goes into one of them holes in there, and that's where the valves are precisionally made, and they start moving, and it's gonna keep scoring the actual valve. So that's my biggest issue. So these openings, they're like exhausts, and if you're gonna have all this junk going in there, game over. I mean, it's gonna score the surface, and when the valve moves in its seat, it's gonna keep scoring. It's like, well, anyway. So you've probably seen these things in different transmissions, and you know, this is pretty bad. You know, what can I say? This is something that I do not like to see, but it is what it is. So hey, most likely I'm gonna just clean it all up, see what happens, because again, I just need it to last a little longer so I can finish the actual other things with this vehicle, and then the last thing would be the transmission, because I don't like this. I mean, look at this. It's like, it's rust. It's rust. It'll wash off for the most part, but you know, not good. Underside looks okay, no questions here, but again, with all this junk that was floating in there, not nice. So next thing is just to go and take it all apart, all the valves out, wash it thoroughly, put it back together, and hope for the best. I think it's gonna work for a little bit still. You do not see clutch materials. See this crap. This is crazy. You do not see clutch materials here, except for maybe, okay, so there's just one over there, because it was very apparent, and most of it was caught by filter. When I opened the filter up, it was completely clogged up, and I specifically bought the cheap ones so I can get few for cheap. So what's here? See, all of this has to be cleaned off, no question about it. Will it work? We'll see. Alright, so this is all. This is Victor at RestoreYourMercedes.com. Thank you for watching.